This week we're going to be speaking with Ronnie Dunston with Road to 100 Countries. How you doing, Ronnie?
Hey, what's going on, Jordan?
So taking it back to the start of everything, you grew up in New Jersey.
Yep, I'm from Jersey, but I am a army brat. So my dad was in the military, so we
Yeah,
moved around. I lived in Texas, Washington State, as well as Jersey, Texas, Washington State. Where else we got? Oh, in Germany. I
yeah,
forgot how I
Germany.
miss Germany.
Yeah, and that's something that we have in common because both of my parents were in the military and they actually
Okay,
met in the military. And I was born on a Navy base in Maryland.
okay. I live in Maryland now.
Oh, for real? What part?
Yeah. I'm in the Upper Marlboro area.
All right, that's up.
Trying
Yeah, I
to,
was born in Bethesda.
okay, yeah. I'm trying
Yeah,
to build a crib in Bowie.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what's up. So, how was that traveling as a young black man? How did you feel like that exposure impacts you now?
Uh, I don't know if the exposure from, I mean, you know what, the being able to adapt. So, changing from different schools and sometimes just being, I'm a social butterfly. So just being able to adapt to wherever I'm at. I've lived in the West Coast, I've lived on the East Coast, I've lived in the Central pretty much. And then I've lived out the country. So for me, it was more of the ability to adapt and to be able to just kind of like meet new friends off the fly, and being cultured across the board. So West Coast has a different flavor than the East Coast. Even
Yeah.
when you said hella, I was like, oh, you from the West Coast. I
Oh,
already knew
stop.
where you were at. I was like, when you said it, which is funny though, you was born in Maryland, but then I'm assuming you live on the West Coast now.
Yeah, back and forth. Nah, I'm in Atlanta right now. I
Okay,
moved to Atlanta in 2019, but when I was growing up, I was back and forth from Cali, from the
okay,
Bay, and Maryland, back and
okay.
forth, back and forth. Yeah,
Gotcha.
most definitely. What was your favorite memory from traveling with your dad?
I think the favorite memory traveling internationally with I mean I was young when we were in Germany, but I think the favorite thing I would say is just meeting new people, being able to meet new people from different areas. I have my Facebook, I have a lot of friends on Facebook from being, you know, I have people literally from Washington State when I went there in junior high and still
Yeah,
like remember me. And it's crazy. I mean, I remember, I have the memory, but just to be able to have that connection and Facebook connects everybody. So I
yeah,
think the ability to just meet people from all around us. So I've had, I think that was like one of my favorite things. And then the Autobahn. I love actually, being in Germany, I love BMWs. So
yeah.
that's another thing too. Like I'm teamed at BMW.
Uh-huh.
That was something that being in Germany, that they're big there, and the fact that the autobahn, I drive fast. So I think that's probably one of my biggest memories there.
And the Audubon, that's the highway that has no speed limit, right?
Pretty much. Yep.
That's wild. That's wild. So you say you grew up in Germany and all these different places. How did that lead to you going back home or back to where you were born in New Jersey for college?
Oh, well, so my dad, he gave us a choice. My junior year, I was actually in Texas, and I you know what? I didn't want to graduate from Texas. I was like, I want to go back to Jersey. And
Yeah.
my grandparents at the time was in Jersey, so my mom and my brother and I, just my brother and I, we went back to Jersey with my mom because my dad actually stayed in Texas, and I did my senior year in Jersey. I just, you know what? In hindsight, it wouldn't matter, but for me, I was like, I don't want to graduate from Texas. I don't know
Yeah.
why I didn't want to.
Yeah.
So being, Jersey born, I was just like, I want to graduate from Jersey. So I did go back to South Jersey and Seton Hall. I got a full ride, so that's why I actually went to Seton Hall.
Academically?
Yep, I got both academic. So it was partial. It was academic. I was an RA as well as athletic. So I wrestled. I wrestled
Okay.
at Seton Hall. I ran track. I did actually. I ran track and I wrestled, but
Yeah.
Seton Hall was wrestling and academic as both.
Yeah. And how's the experience there?
Oh, Seton Hall. Seton Hall,
Yeah.
is a predominantly white school, so
Yeah.
it's not HBCU, but
Yeah.
it was a great experience. That's also where I pledged. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, so
Okay.
Spring '98 is where I pledged that. I had a great time in T. I honestly, I've been to every partying wise. I've been to every single state, college, and university in the state of New Jersey. Not
Dang.
the community colleges, but all the state colleges and the universities. I've been to every single one in the state of New Jersey.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Right. That um Ramapo, Trenton State, Montclair, like Willie P, all of them.
Yeah.
I traveled Rowan, Stockton, all of them. I traveled north all the way south, and partying and just it being a fraternity. Rutgers, New Brunswick, Rutgers, Newark, Princeton. I've been to all of them. And
Yeah.
I remember one time I made sure I went to all of them because I realized I had been to a lot. So I was like, damn, I might as well just go to all of them. So I
Yeah.
looked them all up, and we literally have partied in every university, every 4-year college and university
Yeah.
in the state. So not community colleges.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good experience. I enjoy it. I definitely love my college experience. I mean, people to this day, I always, I joke, but it's true. I was legendary at Seton Hall. So people to this day, they still, I still tell stories about me. Put it that way.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
used to do, I still have, some of my young boys.
Uh-huh.
That was one thing I didn't like about Seton Hall is that we didn't have a football team. We was D1,
Yeah.
D1 in terms of basketball, the Pirates, but we didn't have a football team. So I used to represent, I used to root for the Rutgers Knights because my sons all with the Rutgers, and Rutgers and Princeton were like my second and third home. So I used to root for Rutgers football team, only the football team, because when we played them in basketball, I definitely
was rocking with them
to bust their ass. So
yeah. So after college, you started your first company that helped people travel without breaking the bank.
Yeah, so I started a company called Pay Cheap Rates Travel Club, and Pay Cheap Rates Travel Club was pretty much, I was trying to create a travel club where people would pay into it monthly, and I would get them discounted rates. This was well before like people got into to becoming travel agents and IATA number and those MLMs. Actually, it was right on the cusp. They started coming into that you should be here people, those blue people, the blue sign people, which I always tell people like, where they at now? Like World Ventures, that's what it was called. Yeah. So I created something to help people to just get discounted rates. And it was lucrative. I actually sold the company. It was lucrative. Sort of about $500,000. And it was I think I had about 2,000, a little over 2,000 members, paying about $20 to $50 a month. The thing was, I realized I got tired of booking stuff for people or helping them book. It was a system that was automated, but I would always still get like, it's just crazy how you realize people don't really travel. Like they think they want to travel, or they assume they want to travel. They'll put in things like, $500 left, all inclusive, $500 or less, all inclusive Maldives. I'm like, clearly you've never been to Maldives because you're not going for $500 or less. So it was like little things that was just irking me. It was automated. That it was supposed to be like a well-oiled automated machine, which it would have been in theory, but I was putting in too many man hours. I'm still a dean of students at the time. Yeah, in 2011, I was still dean. And for me, I think what happened 2011. Yeah, so like it was in between starting my road to 100 because I stopped working at DeVry in 2014, and that's when I pretty much hit the ground running. It was 2013 we started our road to 100 country journey, but it wasn't for me in terms of I just can't deal with people. Like, I love people in terms of I'm a people person and I'm always helpful. But then you get, sometimes you get ignorance, and I'm like, I can't. Ignorance is bliss. And I'm a Virgo. I'm straight up, and I'm a very. You a Virgo?
August
good stuff right there. You said what?
August 28th.
Okay, my brother's August 27th, so we both Virgos. I'm 9/11. I'm a September Virgo.
Yeah.
So actually, I was in Singapore for my birthday right before No Madness. I was there for 9/11. I came back on the 15th or something like that. And then I come to No Madness. But yeah, so for me, it was like, man, I can't do this. So I sold the company. I sold it when it was up, so it was good. And then we kind of hit the ground running with our whole road to 100 countries in 2013.
What would you say was the most difficult part about actually starting the business?
Starting, I think it wasn't really difficult because I had a network. I already had a network at hand. People had already, it's crazy because I wasn't really traveling heavy yet until like 2 years in. But people already knew me. They already, I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I always have things going. That's not my first business. That was my first travel business. So people like Ronnie wins. So I already had a network. People understood it. And I'm very transparent and very straight up. People respect that. I have a lot of people that respect me. So I already had it and I didn't really have too much overhead. So it was very easy transition. I would say, for people who want to start businesses, it's a couple things. Like people jump into like getting LLCs and want to do S corps and stuff like that. And I always tell people like, if you don't really know if your business is going to be lucrative or not, if you're not, starting up a franchise or something like that nature, you don't have to jump right into being an LLC or an S corp. So I always
Yeah,
tell people like, don't waste your money if it's not going to be sustainable. So
exactly.
sometimes I tell people like, you can do a sole proprietorship business and you pretty much, you use your social.
Yeah,
You don't have to get an EIN number. So I would say the process of that. So I was a business major. I was an MBA. Well, one of my degrees, I have multiple degrees, but one of my degrees is an MBA with a concentration in marketing, and I deal with just my MBA itself, also human resource management. I have both of those. I already kind of knew the business aspect, how to create a business, blah blah blah. But I always tell people like, you don't have to dive right into the business until it starts to make money. When it gets
yeah.
lucrative, then you want to get an
Then
LLC.
you get
People
legal.
jump to get an LLC just to say they got a business, they got an LLC, and then
Mm-hmm.
if it doesn't, if it's not sustainable after a year, then what you gonna do with that LLC? You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? So, be smart about it first, make it sustainable, start making some money with it a little bit. About a year. Give yourself a year. If
yeah,
it's lucrative, if it's you're breaking even, because you usually want to break even in like the first 2, 3 years. But if you're
yeah,
doing well in the first year, whether it be break even or making a little profit, then you want to look into maybe creating an LLC if you want, or an S
yeah.
corp. But I would say that's probably the hard. It wasn't for me, but that's probably one of the harder parts I can see for people is
People.
doing.
Okay. And that's free game right there. Free game. What inspired you and your wife to start your Road to 100 Countries journey?
So actually, I'm gonna give my wife her props on that. So
Okay.
I'm typical dude, like let's go to Mexico, let's go to Brazil, let's go, all the
Go
DR, all
tropical.
the spots that we want to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much men. I'm not gonna say all because I was the stereotype. I was at the black. Actually, that's when I first met you, the Black
Yeah,
Travel
in
Expo.
Atlanta.
Yeah, in Atlanta. Yeah, you went from Atlanta, right? I mean, you live in Atlanta, so that was crazy. But they always say men travel women. I'm not gonna disagree and say we don't, but not all men, right?
Yeah.
But my wife and I, we were traveling. We were doing a lot of uh, deal trips. So the
Mm-hmm.
deals are like the Bahamas, the Caribbean islands. You might get something to Paris. And my wife was like, "Don't you want to see more of just the Caribbean, more of the world?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So she was like, "Let's see more. Let's just see how many countries you can see." So I was like, "How many countries are there?" So I looked it up. The UN, it was 195 recognized by the UN. There's actually over 225 countries, but recognized by the UN is 195. So I was
Yeah.
like, all right, 195. Let's do half. Let's do at least a half. Let's do 100. And then this whole I just came up with Road to 100. And it's funny because Road to 100 is just catchy, but in reality, we're taking flights.
Yeah.
No one's driving to 100
Yeah.
countries. So it was ironic about it, but then I came up with this little logo, which the crazy part is a plane, but
Yeah.
the Road to 100 was just like a journey. The journey is what I took it as. And we looked into that, and one of the other things was seeing how expensive it was. I was like, "Damn, this."
100 countries.
Yeah, and that's when I got into like really the points of miles game and started. I'm from Jersey, so I'm a hustler. I'm always like, how can I not pay for this? How can
Yeah.
I get a discount? How can I give some money off? And I had already had, at the Peachy Bay Travel Club that
Yeah.
kind of transitioned to that. So the other part is I actually had no job when we started our Road to 100 Countries. And 2013, it was in the limbo. I think it was about 2012. 2012 is when I actually stopped working full time at DeVry. I used to be I was just a professor, and I was an adjunct. So I was an adjunct, and I was also on unemployment. We traveled, we went everywhere because I don't live check to check. So I had money stashed, whatever.
That's some
I don't
stacks.
live check to check. Right now, I live financially. I live completely financially free.
Uh-huh.
But then I was definitely not check to check. I tell people if you live bill to bill, that's living check to check. Even though
Yeah.
it's not, people assume check to check is like you're spending all your money. For me, I pay a lot of things in advance. So I do all my reoccurring bills. I pay in advance 1 to 2 years, so
Yeah.
that if anything ever to happen to me, I'm covered for like the next 9 months or so,
Yeah.
and until I got a new job, a new gig, or whatever the case may be. And that's what I try to tell people. So I live financially free.
Yeah.
It's my goal. I don't like, oh, I don't like, I'm gonna build my house. That's gonna be my next build. But
Yeah.
now I'm already figuring out once I build it, I'm trying to pay it off in the next 3, 4 years. You know
Yeah.
what I
So
mean?
you're
It's gonna
not
be a dream
relying
home.
on one hustle.
Oh no, absolutely not. You definitely have to have multiple streams of income. Like
Yeah.
if you don't have multiple streams of income, you lose it. I can
Yeah.
say that right now. Unless your income is so high that I
You
guess
don't
that's
need to. So what would you say was your favorite country on this road to 100?
man. I don't have so I have I have them in categories.
Yeah.
So luxury wise, I love the Maldives, the whole
Okay.
luxury aspect of it, and but it's really like Gilligan's Island. There's nothing to do there other than have sex, water sports. But Maldives it just has a good vibe in terms of like the beach. I love the crystal clear of the clarity of the water.
Mhm.
But my favorite country, which en route to there, or one of my favorite places to be, is UAE. I love Dubai. And
Okay.
I'm glitz glamour. People are like, oh, I'm like Dubai. I'm like, shit, that's all me all day. I'm going for a third time. We're actually going back to Dubai for New Year's and Christmas this year. This will be our third time going for Christmas, New Year's. So it's our fourth time in Dubai, but fourth time in Dubai. Did we go before? I think all the times it's actually Christmas, New Year's. So
Yeah.
we're going back there this year. That's going to be my last trip for the year. But I love Dubai. In Africa, I love Namibia and South Africa. Those are one of my top two. And then I would say in Asia, my favorite in Asia is going to be Mauritius I got like a top 10, and then Mauritius is one of my favorites. But if I had to go hands down, like somewhere I would go a couple of times a year, it would be Dubai. I go with
Dubai.
Dubai.
And the rules aren't that strict over there because I heard a
People
couple
always be
things.
thinking like, man, there's so many things that's out there. Like, here's what I tell people: anytime you travel, you should just understand what the culture is. You should
Yeah.
look up the rules and the regulations and understand. Americans go to places and they're just ignorant. We go
Yeah.
there and just think like you go to a country like you don't speak English. Not in America. Like
Exactly.
English might be their second language. Or you go to a country like, for example, Singapore. I just came back from Singapore. Well, one of the rules is you can't chew gum. You can actually you can be locked up for chewing gum because they banned gum. They don't want
That's
gum, and
crazy.
it's one of the cleanest, safest places in
I
the world.
mean,
It is funny because you go to the stores and you see what you think is gum, but it's candy. They don't, so you can't go there. Like people are like, well, I can't chew gum. It's
no.
not in America, bro. Like
Yeah.
it's not your rule.
Just
So
like somebody isn't coming to Jersey acting up from a
yeah,
different
right.
country.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you ain't from here.
Yeah.
You need to look. The same thing about went to the West Coast. I'm not gonna go to
Yeah.
the West Coast. I got run shit. I don't know what's going on. So I tell people all day, like you have to be, understand where you're at, your atmosphere, understand the rules and regulations. So does Dubai have some like in Dubai, you can't sleep on the train, you can't chew gum on the train,
Yeah.
you can't lean on someone in the train. I know these rules because I've been there before.
Mhm.
The PDA overly affection. People think that you can't kiss it or hold hands in public. You can, but you're like OD, like
Over the yeah. Yeah.
tonguing somebody down, blah blah blah, and over.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. And then I unfortunately that one young lady, she was black actually. She the one at the trucker. She was screaming at the guy, and I'm sure there was more to the story. But even there, it's crazy because even my wife one time the first time we went to Dubai, we had a little incident. They don't have the same respect for women that you would back home, especially if you're traveling solo. You can't just want to get loud with somebody and think it's okay. That's not the culture. I feel as though anywhere you go, if you understand the rules and regulations of that country
Mhm.
and you okay with it, you'll be fine. If you go there and you think whatever you can do in the US, you can do there,
Go
that's
ahead.
where you're gonna go wrong.
Go ahead, try it. So after you finish visiting the 100 countries, you created a service that basically teach people travel literacy instead of doing it for them.
Yep, that's it. So that was one thing. I didn't want to do it for him. I was like, I'd rather teach someone. So because my background, I used to be a dean of students as well as a professor in the College of Business and Technology. I always had that teacher in me. So what occurred was, so this is funny. Because I was at No Madness, I'm an influencer. Well, I allegedly an influencer. And I
Yeah.
always say allegedly. People are like, bro, you got like 150,000 people following you. I was like, yeah, but that wasn't my goal. I
Yeah.
actually wasn't an influencer. I got thrusted into it.
Mm-hmm.
This would happen. During our journey in the Road to 100, we were about 75 countries in, and then my numbers started going up. I wasn't at 150. I was at 10,000 people, right? I had 5,000 friends myself. So 10,000 wasn't a lot more, you know what I mean? It was not a lot to some, but it wasn't to me because I already 5,000 was my friends to begin with, right? Yeah. So I was about 10,000 in, and we got to about 75 countries. Then I noticed people were following me, and I had opened my page to public. And people kept asking me questions. So I would tell them what cards we're using. So that's the other thing. Now, for 10 years, next year being the 11th year, because I just booked 11 years. For the last 11 years, next year being the 11th, and I'm already booking it now. I already have half of the year booked. I have not paid for a hotel internationally out of pocket in the last 11 years. I've used nothing but points. So I have 8 million Hilton points. And I tell people, you harp your points. I'm like, bruh.
8 million?
Yeah, 8 million. So it is always, and I love to say it because I show people, so the thing about us meaning Black people, or people of color. We're not just going to say all Black, but people of color. Actually, I'll say all, but I can speak for myself. You know what I mean? We are always on those, like, I got to see it to believe it. And I'm like, here you go, bro. I show you my 8 million points. I show you, you know what I mean? I have to show, I also lead by example, but sometimes you got to show. So I have 8 million points, and I tell people, listen to this. I can book a whole year, and it's not going to cost me 2 million Hilton points. If I earn, so the other thing is I passively earn 3 million Hilton points every year. That's why I have 8 million points. So I tell people, I'm like, because I swap off. So right now I have 1 million Marriott points, and I have 8 million Hilton. So next year I'm going to do all Hiltons, because what I do is I used to do 2 years of all Hiltons, and then I build up my Marriott, and then I do 1 year of Marriott. So when I do the 1 year of Marriott and I'm only building Hilton, it just keeps piling up. The other thing is the pandemic happened. If the pandemic didn't happen, I wouldn't have 8 million. I'd probably have about 2, 3 million. The pandemic happened for 2 years of build up. I'm making 3 every year. That's what I'm trying to explain to people. One of those years, 2021, was the year that I did only Marriott. So that's how I have 8.
And you said you about to get that house built. You could just chill in the Hilton.
Right. Yeah, no, I could, exactly. I mean, we own the home that we're in now. I don't have to sell this home to build my new home.
Yeah.
So people, because then you crunch time, blah, blah, blah. We're still kind of debating, because this area is booming, and it's a lot of there's like my second daughter, my youngest daughter, Nala. There's a hospital that was just built over here. So this area is like really building up. So we're debating on if I'm going to make if we're going to make this house that we're in now a rental property, or if we're going to sell it. But I have that option. You know what I mean? Like, some people have to sell their home to build a new home. We don't have to. We're not fortunate, because I worked my ass off to do this. But you know what I mean? We worked so that we don't have to sell the situation. We want to sell it or rent it out. We're just debating which one would be the better solution for us. But anyhow, so creating the course, I created it because people kept asking me questions, and I got tired of saying the same thing. And so right now I work for the government. I work for the Department of Energy. And what I do is I create training materials for the government. So I was like, shit, let me just do what I do for work and create it, the course. So what I did was, it's called the Tricks to Travel System. And what it is I pretty much teach you step by step how I traveled to over 100 countries for essentially free. How I have not paid for, I tell people all the time, I was like, listen, if you take my course, it's a blueprint of what I did. All you have to do is be willing to listen and learn, and you'll win. Because I will skip you past go. You don't go through the trials and tribulations that I went through to try to figure it out and learn it.
Led by demonstration.
Yeah, as long as you're willing to learn, and people get in there like, do it for me. If you want me to do it for you, this shit ain't for you. I tell people all the time, if you need somebody to do it for you, it's not it. If you want to learn and I'll show you how to do it yourself, absolutely. You will absolutely. I have 2,000 people right now. Right now I have almost 2,100 people are taking the course right now. I didn't even launch it until the pandemic. January 2020 is when I launched it, and the pandemic hit in March. And the crazy part is, it's a side. Well, now it's a business, but it was like a side thing. And what I did was I had posted how people was in the house, and I was like, look, y'all in the house crying the blues. Let me show you how I'm turning these lemons into lemonade. And I posted how I was earning. I had like 3 million points and 200,000 Delta miles and blah, blah, blah. And I was showing people like, you don't actually have to travel to earn a lot of points and miles. And that's the misconception as well. And I got over 500 people signed up. Like in a 2 month, 3 month time, like right during the pandemic, that March to May, I had 500 people sign up because I told them, I said, listen to me. If you listen to me during this pandemic, when this is over, you will go anywhere you want for free. And you can fly in business and first class as long as you're doing it. And I had so many people in 2021 that went to the Maldives for free. Conrad board for free. Dubai for free. Kenya for free. I have so many, because that's another thing, like me saying it, I have testimonials. I actually have people there. Like one of my Tricks to Travel members literally showed up at the Ritz-Carlton Maldives the day before I was leaving. She came here with her husband. I was like, oh shit. She did a testimonial.
Like, what you doing?
She's in the Maldives at the Ritz-Carlton, flew there for free, flew in Emirates business class for free. Same thing I did. I was like, wow. So it wins, it works.
Yeah, sure. Most definitely. And I feel like the experience, especially for like myself, like I'm 19, I feel like it's important to get that exposure and to just go to different countries, even just all over the US. Because I know some people, some grown men who've never been outside of their neighborhood, never been outside their hood ever. And I see how like their minds, they have one way of thinking. And I see how traveling and stuff can make you think differently, like expand your mind to different foods, different cultures, different stuff like that. So I feel like it's super important what you're doing, because you're not just saying, here, let me do this for you and take your money and so you could go. You're like, bro, let me show you how you could do this.
Exactly.
You feel me? Yeah.
And it's sustainable. So that's another thing as well. That's actually, so it's not me backtrack. It's not actually a course only. I call it the Tricks to Travel system, and not a Tricks to Travel course. And here's why. It's a course component. So all in one course, shows you all the ins and outs. It's over 150 step-by-step videos. And they're about 10 to 15-minute videos because that's the attention span. So the 10 to 15-minute videos on particular areas like how to book with points, how to earn points, blah, blah, blah. Then I have a Facebook group, a private group community, not my big community. So I have a big Road to 100 Countries community. It's like 30,000 people. But this is a Tricks to Travel community for only the people that take the course, right? Which is about 2,000 in and out. Those people have an opportunity to ask additional questions. I also post more tips and more tricks. So it's a community where people can ask additional questions, and they could boast about their accolades and things they've accomplished and use points on and miles, and they post. It's completely inspirational. It's all about inspiring people to do more and do better, and to see that, oh, you learning it too. We're learning it together, and they're all winning. So that's the community. And then there's a third component. So it's one component is a course, two components is a private community where you can ask additional questions. You can tag me. I'm accessible. And then I give masterclass Zoom calls every single month. They're recorded. So the masterclass Zoom calls is a live event. Everybody in the, that's only the people that's in the community are invited. They come in and I can ask additional questions. I go over more tips and tricks. It's like it's a masterclass. It's recorded, and those are all uploaded into the course. So here's the crazy part. You right now, if you join Tricks to Travel right now, you can go back to 2021, 2022, and then this year you can watch all the Zoom calls, so you never miss anything. So I always tell people, when you join, you'll never be behind the curve, because everything is at your fingertips. All the Zoom calls that are recorded, whatever you missed, it doesn't matter if you didn't hear about me in 2021. 2021 Zoom calls is right there at your fingertips. Exactly. It's in the course. Everything is all in one. So that's why, and then my course is a continued learning. So people pay one time. Once they pay one time, they get lifetime access. And then every 2 years, I take out old content and put new content. But every year, like if I come up with a new trick, a new tip or something, I only teach people by example. So I always tell people, like, I've been in the last 3 years with my daughter's I've only flown first in business class,
Mm-hmm.
using nothing but points and miles. So like Emirates and Qatar, we just did Singapore and KLM and Air France. So I tell people, I'm like, I'm not one of those people like, oh yeah, you can do this and that. I've already done it. I
Yeah.
can show you how I did it because I did it. I teach by example. So that's what the system is. And the three-part components, and you won't lose. As long as you're willing to learn, you make an investment, you will absolutely win. I
Yeah.
always make sure people win too. I hate when I don't like people get into my course because it's I have progress reports like a teacher, and shows you like how like every Sunday people get emails and tell them how the progress is. Like you only completed 20%, you only completed 30%. Because
Yeah.
I like to have accountability. I want people to have accountability.
Exactly. And where do you see yourself taking this in the next 5 years?
The next 5 years, we're at about 2,000 people now. So the things that's on my plate, I know in the next year or two. So I do short-term goals for the long-term goal. Is I'd say 5 years, because I'm not going with the quantity, I'm going with the quality.
Yeah.
I'd say in 5 years, I want at least 25,000 people in my community that are learning within five. And the reason why is I'm basing it on having about 5,000 people per year. So that would be the goal, to be at about 25,000 people in my community have been learning the points and miles system. And then the next level that I'm launching next month, not next month, next year, is a subscription service where, so you remember my Patriot Race Travel Club?
Yeah.
I took that component, but I tweaked it so that people can book themselves and they can have a discount. So what I'm doing is I'm creating, you know how like TripAdvisor, you go online, you can kind of book your own stuff. So I have my own portal that I've developed. I have a couple of developers that are helping me with it. I have my discounted rates that I have that I'm purchased into. And I'm building into the portal, but I'm not opening to the public. It's going to be only to my Trips to Travel people. I'm keeping everything internal. I don't do it outside. Everybody in TTC, I tell people we like a cult. We already drunk the Kool-Aid. Everybody already winning in the group. So I don't have to, I could go right now to TTC people like, yo, today the sky is red. They know I'm so transparent. I'm so real. They're like, look, I know the sky blue, but today that shit must be red because Ronnie said it is, because they know 100. So I don't need to open to the public, because the public would be like, I tell people that they'd be like, well, why not? I was like, yo, because I'm building an empire where I don't need to go outside. If I have my subscription service is about $20-$25 a month. It's going to be something cheap. It's not going to be something like where people make commission. It's not you're going to be a travel agent type thing. It's going to be where you just pretty much getting discounts on hotels and airline tickets. I'm gonna work on cruises as well, but that's the new goal. I mean, not the next goal, not the new goal, but the next step is to add a subscription service to it within the next year. Actually, I plan to perfect it. Next year to be my first year, so to perfect it within that year. But I'm not. The other thing is, I don't have a desire to make this. So a lot of people at No Madness was like, when are you going to quit your job? Never. So this is the thing. I actually love my job. If I didn't like my job, then I can understand me wanting to quit. But I love my job. I work from home.
And if you could do both, then why stop?
Exactly. Oh, I'm from Jersey too, but I also work from home. I don't go. If I went in the office every day, I probably would have a different tone. If I went into the office every day, I'm like, no. But which is funny is I make a very good salary, and my business has already surpassed my salary.
Yeah.
So technically, I could be like quit, but for me, I'm like, that's double income. What could I do? And this is more. Trips to Travel is very passive. You sign up and it's self-explanatory. Other than me hopping in the group, like I'm very active in our community. I'm always posting. I'm not even active in my own Facebook. I have a lot of people follow me. I'm very active in my own community. And it's because I know everybody's learning and everybody's like, I come up with a new trick or I see something new or something's posted, because travel hacking is continuous. It's continuous. It's not the same. I always tell people there's no one, including myself, that knows everything. If a person tells me they know everything, they have already failed.
I saw this quote that says, a man who knows everything knows that he knows nothing at all. And a man that thinks he knows everything knows nothing at all.
No, a man who knows nothing knows
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
He
yeah,
ahead of
yeah. You
that.
got
Like
it. You got it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know what you're talking about. I know that quote that's saying.
yeah, most definitely. What would you say inspires you?
I say my parents. My parents inspire me. My dad is he's a go getter. He's very he's a people person. He's into he's definitely a socialite. I definitely get that from my father. But my mom is funny because my dad, like I joke all the time, but my mom is the financial head. Like my
Yeah,
financial literacy is all from my mom.
yeah.
My
They got
mom
a
is
good
she
balance.
works in definitely balance. My mom works in finance. She's the one to teach me about money and savings and then of course me going to college, so I learned a little more. But I always tell her she taught me the finance because she works in finance as well. But she taught me both sides of it, like the street side a little bit, but then at the same time the in the work field because neither I'm the first to graduate college in my family, and then my brother's graduated college as well. Of
Mhm.
course, I had to make sure he graduated, but
Gotta get a little bro
I'm the
right.
first to go to school. What's that?
I said no. I said gotta get bro right.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I mean he's 4 years younger than me, so he's 41 now. I'm
yeah,
45. But we both graduated college, but my mom, she had some years of college. I think she like 2 years. My dad, he was straight military.
yeah,
18, went in 18, out like he was out like my age now, like
uh,
retired because he did his 22 years.
yeah.
But both of them are pretty much my inspiration. I would say my parents are my biggest inspiration.
Okay.
Uh, just in general, like to be better people, be a better person, make it better, and to be able to and provide. My dad, he not is, he still is. My dad was a provider. He was a family. He was a provider for the family. So for me, having two little girls myself,
Mhm.
I'm very family oriented. I'm a provider for my family, for my wife and my daughters. So I'm definitely that structure and just having that. I'm very close with my brother as well. We grew up, the only two of us. I'm the oldest.
Yeah,
So I think, just my family, my immediate family is my biggest inspiration. And then my brother, we both competitive. Like, we
yeah.
very
Uh-huh.
competitive in nature, whether it be
Yeah.
sports. He bigger than me. Like I'm 5'8", my brother's 6 foot. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He like
You
this.
got the wrestling background now.
Yeah, right. And then he both. And so we both we we're very competitive in nature, but we both the one thing about me, I don't have a crabs in the barrel mentality, which is the one thing like I always say, my brother should always be better than me because I'm older. If I've
Yeah.
already went down that path, I should be able to tell you where all the holes are. If you fall into a hole that I told you was there, then you didn't listen. Now, if
Yeah.
you fall into a new hole that I didn't inquire, you know what I mean? I didn't come across. That's different. So I always feel as though the next generation should always be better. Like you're 19. If I was 19 and knew the shit that I know now, you know
Yeah.
where I would be at? You know what? How many? I would have already hit 195 countries. So
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer in, and it's the same thing with my community. Everyone in T2T, I always tell them, like, how you figure? I'm like, because you had me. I didn't have me when I
Yeah.
did this. I did it myself. I
Yeah.
said, you should all be better than me. You should all have the greatest redemptions when it comes to your points and miles because you won't make the mistakes that I made. Because I'm going to post about the mistakes so that you don't do them. So and that's sometimes I hate in public. Everybody's always about battling or and I'm competitive in nature,
Mhm.
but not the pass information. I hate that. Like
Yeah.
provide. Don't get me wrong, and I understand this as well. Sometimes we are OD. People will ask me a million fucking questions, right?
Yeah.
Now I'll give them some answers, and then they just want to all day. But see, I'm very blunt and I'm very transparent, but I don't try to be too much of an asshole about it. I go, here's the thing. I know that you want to ask me a million questions. I try to answer it as much as I could. But we're now like an hour in. We're 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
I have two kids. I have a life. I can't sit here and download all the tricks of travel to you. Not to mention, you're not going to learn it all in one setting. So
Oh,
even the fact that if you assume that you're going to get everything in this one conversation with me, you have already failed.
yeah.
So I tell people all the time, and don't get me wrong, I'm transparent. I tell people all the time. I was like, if you ask me in that itinerary, that's another thing that I just added in my community is now my itineraries and places I've been. I've created itineraries like how many points, how many points it took me to stay there, how many miles to fly there, and where I stayed at, and who I flew. Now our itineraries for everybody in my trips travel people. So now they can literally just take it and it's a blueprint
and go exactly where
yeah.
you.
So now I've done that because people always ask me. So I was like, man, let me start creating itineraries. So that's another thing that's a part of my system. And the reason why is because I want you to win. There's no reason for you. Like I will get to the point we're at 2,000 now. I think when we're at like between 5 and 10,000 people, then it's gonna be, you know what I mean. I might because I already now have a calendar, calendar. People got to set, they got to book me. They got to set a calendar. One, because there's a lot of people. And two, I'm a very involved father.
Yeah.
I'm very involved with my daughter's lives. So I'm not one of those like, not to knock those people, but sometimes entrepreneurs, if you really want to be successful, you have to put all your energy into it. But then something falls. If you put all your energy into this,
sacrifice.
Yeah, you're sacrificing, raising your kids. I'm not going to do that. That's why I have a job. Yeah. I T2T could be much bigger than what it is. I only put the energy that I have in me to put it in. But, I have a new strategy talking to influencers. So now my strategy in No Madness was to get influencers on board to learn my tricks of travel system and realize that it wins because I realized, like even Evita's now, she's a part of T2T now.
Yeah.
Owner of No Madness is learning my system because I showed her how she was missing so many points. And now she's at like 400,000 points. She was like, Ron, just changing the card. She's like, damn. But the reason why I'm doing that is if I teach influencers and go tell their people, word about the best form of marketing.
And you say you have 2 daughters and you're very involved with them. What'd you say?
3 and 1, Nubia and Nala.
Most definitely. Did you have them in No Madness with you?
No, they weren't. They didn't come with me.
Okay.
My wife didn't want them to miss school because I was there on Wednesday, and I was there. I was there Wednesday to Sunday.
Yeah.
I missed, and then I missed the barbecue. Were you at the barbecue?
Yeah, Sunday. Yeah, I flew out right at the end.
I was so mad. I flew out that morning.
Yeah.
6 a.m. flight. But I mean, it was cool because I came back. I took my daughter to some movies when I came in. We went to go see Paw Patrol.
Yeah, so so you ain't really missing nothing. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I told you. I saw all the people not everybody for the most part. I saw everybody go see, made the connections I needed to, came home and spent some time with my daughter. So
exactly. Not saying you didn't miss nothing because the barbecue was bad. I'm saying the barbecue was good, but I'm saying you didn't miss it because you spent time with your daughter.
But I also met everybody who was at the barbecue was also at the event.
Exactly.
I was trying to talk to, so that's why I saw the event. It was good. It was a good event. Exactly. I saw the pictures in the video, but I missed the food. That's about it.
And the food was good.
I'm sure I missed the food, that aspect of it, but it worked out. It balanced out. Next year, I'll make sure I'm there at the barbecue.
There we go. So, what is one way that you want to inspire the next generation?
I want to inspire the next generation to know that not just they always say you can do anything you put your mind to. It's not just your mind; it's your effort as well. And I want to inspire young people and young generation to know that because a lot of them, even my era, they like the finer things in life. There's a lot of luxury and flying, and you don't have to spend for these things. And people with money don't spend their own money, so that people need to understand that too. And financial literacy. Understanding, like, for example, one of the things I definitely want younger generation to know is because I was not privy to this, even I had to school my own mama, is people think that having multiple cards lowers your credit score or that having too many cards is not. I have 30 credit cards and my credit score is an 833. The highest is 850.
30?
Yeah, 833. So I have 30 credit cards, 30 travel cards, and my score is 833. What people don't know, and the misconception is this. Actually, when you have more cards, more available credit, so I have over $300,000 of available credit at my fingertips. So having that is actually what increases your score. Where the problem lies is people use the card like it's free money. I'm like, bro, you gotta use it and pay it off. So where people go wrong is they're using the card and carrying balances on it. You got to use it like a debit card. You got to use it and pay it immediately off. And that's where people go wrong. They have these cards, they go, oh, I'll put 1,000 on, I'll pay it next month. Or, they prolong things and their credit utilization is going up. That's why their credit score is going down. It's not because of the amount of credit cards you have. So that's one of the things I definitely want to show the younger generation, that in a travel. Travel now while you're young. So one of the things that I love is that, I wasn't as young like as you, but I was 30, about our 30s, 30s. We hit and 30, 31, something like that. And we traveled. We traveled before we had kids. So a lot of times people like now we travel with kids. We're at 108 countries right now. So we haven't went anywhere new yet. So we'll go somewhere like, for example, I went to Singapore. It was our second time in Singapore. There's no new country as of right now we've gone to. So people are like, oh, you went to Singapore, you went to like Universal, you did this. And people like, want travel shaming. I'm like, first of all, my daughters wanted to go to Universal. They wanted to see the menu. That's number one. Number two, bitch, I've already been there. So you saying it to me, I'm like, one, have you been to Singapore? Put that it out. I've already been there. I have a whole video and pictures of me being there. So now me repeating countries kind of do things that I want. It's almost like a second home at this point. So I tell people, I'm like, one, don't travel shame. Whatever you want to do when you go to that country, enjoy yourself.
You're not living my life.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You're not home. But I had somebody in my group, Caucasian dude, talking shit. I'm like, bruh, first of all, I've already been there. Let's start there. I've already done these little cultural things that you think I should have did. I've already been there and done that. Now I'm traveling with a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. You ain't going to a museum with a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old and think you're going to see the museum. How about that? Unless it's a toy museum, this shit ain't happening. So I tell people, I'm like, there's certain things that I'm not going to be able to do with my 3 and 1-year-old. Then the answer is, well, why bring the kids? Because I want to. I'm not leaving my daughters anywhere. I'm not leaving my daughters with no one. Let's start there. So, and because I can. I'm traveling with them now. I'm going to travel when they're older as well. So people are like, oh, they're not going to remember. I remember. I remember the memories. I could die tomorrow. Then what? They'll have the pictures and memories of their daddy when they get older.
Exactly.
People, like you said, one of the things, people haven't stepped outside of their home or outside of their home state, narrow-minded, narrow-track mind. They don't.
And a lot of people are super opinionated on stuff that has no effect on their life or nothing to do with them.
Or opinionated, got no fucking kids. Like, bro, you have no kids. Like, listen. And I it was funny. I thought about it. I was like, have I ever tried to give my advice? And when I didn't have kids, I never did. I never did. Because I didn't have any kids. People ask me advice, like, I mean, I give you my opinion if you asking me, but I don't suggest the shit because I ain't got no kids. Exactly. I didn't have none then. Now I have kids. So, and that's the other thing too. That's why I appeal now. I'm noticing. So we did a road to 100 countries with just my wife and I. So a lot of couples, I could show people how to do it. I did it with points and miles. Now I'm doing it with families. So people go, I have, the family go, can you do it with families? I'm doing it with the family. Yeah. So I have both sides of the fence. I tell people, I can show you how to do it as a couple, as a solo. And I've never done it solo, but it's easier solo because you're less points. But I can show you how to fly to these countries and be these countries solo itself, like going there solo, I have not done. But I can show you couple-wise. I can show you how to get there. I can show you how to, it's going to be easier for just you. And I can show people the family. I tell people family of 4, I got you. When you get a little more than 4, I don't know the ins and outs, the logistics of more than 2 kids, but it's going to, it's going to be way more points. You're not going to travel as often as you want to. But, that's the option. I'm not having no kids. You're not having no kids.
You done.
I grew up just 2, and, I see people with 3 kids at the airport, and it's always like the dad is doing the luggage, the mom has 2 kids, and that third kid just wandering. Talking about, hi, little boy, like, hell no. The other thing is traveling. People don't logistically look at it. If I get on a plane that's a 3-3, right? This is the average in the domestic, is 3 seats and 3 seats. Mm-hmm. My wife and my 2 daughters can sit on this side. I can sit on the aisle with 2 random ass mofos, right? Next thing. That's if I'm in Gen Pop. That's if I'm in the economy. Now, if I'm not in Gen Pop and I'm in first class, it's 2-2. Yeah. My wife and the daughter, me and my other daughter. That's it. We ain't got to worry about nobody sitting next to us. But I also don't have to worry about nobody sitting next to my child. If I had a 3rd child and we were in the 3-3, my wife and two over here, and me and my son or daughter, and some random mofo.
Yeah.
I don't want nobody sitting next to my child. And they're
Yeah.
not gonna want to sit on on the aisle either. So for me, I'm like, travel. People like, you're not having kids because travel. Like, yeah, but I wanted a boy and a girl, and I got two girls, and I love and I'm a girl dad. People like, you're not gonna try for a boy? It's a 50-50 chance, bro. Now
Yeah.
what happens if I have another girl? Then what?
Yeah.
You tell me keep
You
fucking
get them
going?
having like 5 girls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want me to keep going? Like,
Yeah.
no. It wasn't in my cards. It is what it is. My daughters will have me a grandson. There we go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There you go.
works for me. But yeah,
Yeah.
no kidding.
Most definitely. I appreciate you for wanting to do this with me. I know I walked up on you at No Madness and got you locked in. But yeah, I appreciate you, and I feel like more young Black men need to get tapped in with you and need to understand what you're doing, because like I said, those experiences really could change everything for you, because once you travel the world, you're not returning back home the same at all. At all. Yeah.
And doing it, because travel is expensive. So
Yeah.
doing it for essentially free is like key. Like having lounge access, being able to cut lines.
Yeah.
I don't even stand in line. I've got clear. I got TSA pre-check.
Yeah.
It's a lot of perks and things that if I wish I had younger. I actually thrive, Virgo, in seeing people win, especially winning from something I taught them.
Yeah.
That's another thing. It's more like it's like a kudos, like yeah. You know what I mean? Like Ronnie taught me. So I always tell, I love when I get younger people. If you 18 and above, get a credit card, you perfect. You a blank slate. I have a lot of not 18, but I have a lot of like 21 people that are winning. Like they winning. And I look at them and admire. They find it, because they're solo travelers or they're young and they don't have no kids. I see them learn and find shit that I don't even know yet. Like, like Ron, did you know this redemption? Like, damn, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Because I'm a sponge too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, damn, I love to see my teacher people evolve even beyond me. And I'm always gonna pick up whatever they dish. Now I'm one of those old dogs. I always tell people you can definitely teach new tricks.
Yes.
It's always gonna be something new. I'm a sponge at all times. I know a lot. So, for something new for me to learn, it'd probably be something that's new coming out. You know what I mean? Something brand new. But, when you got kids and your parents, sometimes you're not always on the scene. Yeah. These younger generations, they got the answers. I'm like, hey, let me know. You know what I mean? I gave you the blueprint. Yeah. You supposed to build some new shit. You know what I mean? I gave you the blueprint, the baseline. You come up with your shit 3D. I gave you like a 1D joint. You come back with 3D. I'm like, hey, that's what's up. Yeah. There's no hate in me. I love it. So I love younger generation. Your era, which you like my niece age too. You
19.
Yeah, you are my niece age. My niece is 19.
Yeah.
She goes to Seton Hall. She goes to my alma mater.
Yeah, alma mater. Yeah.
Academic. She there now.
Yeah.
She's learning. She's taking my class too. She's actually learning my trick or trial to her. She gonna be way better than me. All right, because I'm downloading everything into it. So
yeah, free game
for sure.
Off top, but yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate coming.
Most definitely.